G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've just got this little Moreton Bay Ash tree that I've been working on for, I don't know, maybe 3 years or so. Needs a little bit of work. I'm going to put it into a bonsai pot. I've got a pot picked out here for it, so hopefully we can reduce it down to get into this pot. It doesn't need a huge amount of work. It's got this branch out the side here that's just become hugely dominant. And this is what happens with a lot of our native trees here in Australia. I don't know if exotic trees are the same or not. But a lot of our trees, I find, they'll just choose one branch to be the apex and they'll just send all their energy out there. And if you just leave it go, you'll end up, like, these are still healthy. There's plenty of growth, there's new growth on some of them, but it's very, very slow. And this, as you can see, is just hugely dominant, and that's where all the energy goes. So we need to bring that back, and well, the rest doesn't need to be touched really, unless we want to wire something and put a bit of movement in it, but I think most of that's not too bad. Really, this just needs to come back and we're going to put it into a pot. The main thing we need to do today is get it in a pot, so we'll get it out. It's even got a name tag still. Look at that. Corymbia tessellaris. Put my glasses on, I could actually read that. So obviously we're going to have to reduce the height of the root ball a lot. I think I can get away with bare rooting this tree. I think. It is in active growth, so it's probably a good time to do it. Our temperatures are starting to ease off a little bit, so I won't have that brutal summer heat to contend with. We're still a long way from winter, so cold is not an issue. I think it'll still actively grow for 3 or 4 months yet. But we'll loosen it all up, have a look, see if we can decide on a front, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, tell me go slow, you don't wanna feel the pain. Every go round, you're driving me insane.
I will take this outside and I'll hose these roots off. Righto, so our root ball is obviously a real mess. There is, however, a fair bit of flare coming down just under the soil surface. So initially I'm going to prune these surface roots back. Just to try and expose that a bit more and see how far down we can go and still have it look okay. But we are going to have to trim off quite a bit of roots, I think, because this really is just a mess. You can sort of see the root flare there now. And if we work on some of these side roots and continue to grow them, you know, we might get some of those nice thick roots growing out side to side. And that's probably not a bad side for the front as far as the branch placement goes. It's probably not perfect, because if you went straight on with the branches so you can make the most of the branch structure, the trunk is sort of, this would be the ideal front over here, but if you spin that around so that's the ideal front facing towards you, then the branches are all a little bit hidden. So the front I would pick from the trunk side of it. Doesn't match the trunk that I'd pick from the branch side of it. So it's a matter of trying to, I guess, find the best compromise. I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and make a big cut down the bottom and just see what that lets us see. Oh. Wow. So this is something that probably should have been addressed fairly early in the tree's life to continue to encourage these finer roots. Instead of this taproot sort of really thickening all the way down and then having to do a major cut. Yeah, hopefully we'll still be okay. Well, up front. There's no reason why we couldn't take the soil level back up to where it was and forget about what was underground, which will give us an okay looking front. Even that there is not too bad. That sort of an angle's not too bad. Gives you a reasonable looking little trunk. You can see most of the movement in that main trunk line. Obviously this branch will be brought right back. This is another species that likes to back bud. Even if I cut a branch right back, it'll shoot buds out, which is good. Gives me a lot of options. All right, so I think I'll settle on that as the front, and we will get it into a pot. And some soil up in the center. And where are we going to go? I think we can go down quite a bit. Should we? Just going to move it a touch off center. I generally don't pay too much attention to exactly where in the pots the trees go in these initial pottings. There's plenty of time to make fine adjustments later on. Initially for me, it's all about just getting that tree into that bonsai sized and shaped pot. And letting it recover health. You know, to move it an inch one way or the other is something that we can easily do down the track.
You wanna help out, then come give me your hand. You wanna make me into a better man.
I don't like to leave those tie-in wires on too long, so I'll leave them until I feel that that tree has put on a whole heap of new growth, which to me will mean that it's growing new roots as well, and then I'll remove those wires, even if I just cut them and pull them out. How much do we want to cut back? This branch coming straight forward, you know, is long and straight. I don't know that we want it at all, but for now, I'll just take it back and leave ourselves with some options later on. This big, long, tall one, and we could probably utilize that from about this point. So if we trim it back to there, I would anticipate getting a lot of little shoots coming out all over this, and then we can trim it back further and make some selections. This big long one, we probably don't even want it heading way out there into the Never Never. The apex of the tree is probably not too bad at the moment. For a typical Australian type eucalypt tree, I don't think that's probably too bad. You know, we may tweak the exact front a little bit. As I said, initially I'm not super concerned. It's more about getting it in here, getting its health back. And then once we've got that fine, massive roots that we can actually work with, instead of having stuff like this that we've just got to do major cuts, we can tweak it then in the pot, yeah, and make some better styling decisions. I I don't know about these shoots here. I don't think they'll be any good, so they can go. Bugger it. Yeah. Everything else, I mean, to me, we've still really got 2 fronts that we could work with. Either side is not too bad. But for now, yeah, I think that's about it. We'll take it out, give it a good water, and let it recover. And then in future, we'll work on this side, that, and the apex. Between now and when I get it back on the video again, what I will be doing though, and what I need to do with a lot of my trees, and it's honestly not worth filming a lot of the time, is any of these branches that take off, like you saw this was before, you just need to keep them trimmed back. If it's the top that's going, trim it right back, because if one part is allowed to run, the rest will suffer. And I've had some trees that are really bad for that. They'll basically throw the branches that are not prioritized, and often they're the ones that you want to keep. But anyway, that's my little Moreton Bay Ash. Put him back out for recovery, and hopefully he will not chuck too much of a sad because of that major root prune. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.